1010XL is presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville.
There's one chapter completed, and the next chapter is opening up. For me, when I opened up that rookie contract, I was, wow, this is it. And I completed that chapter. Now it's the next chapter.
They throw what could be a double pass. This is Boyd. Now he wants to throw it back. And the ball picked off by the Jaguars. Josh Allen. Has he done enough this year yet? He picked off the double pass and ran it back inside the 10-yard line of the Cincinnati Bengals.
Extremely honored, extremely blessed and humbled to be even given a contract of this size, and I'm just totally blessed.
1010XL 92.5 FM presents Jaguars Today with your hosts Mike Dempsey, Tony Smith, and Dylan Denmark.
All right, we are getting close, baby. We're one day out, Tony, from the real draft, the media mock draft, and then the rest of it is just kind of whatever, fun and games. But no, draft time is upon us. I think we like the draft. We're excited. Let's get through it. Let's get some new players. Let's see where we're going. Today's a big Tuesday top 5 for you. This is it right here. What's your top 5 wish list for the Jags, right? And could be a lot of different things. We'll explain as we go along. Tony, let me take a moment. We're not shout-out radio, but I did play the new Stillwater Golf Course, relatively new.
Yeah.
Over on 210. Ken Brady and our sales manager played out there. And we played Sunday afternoon, got paired up with a guy who lives out there named Ernie. And I told Ernie I'd give him a shout-out because he's super nice. Sometimes you get paired with a guy on the course and it's like, oh, this is going to really stink. Mm-hmm. But he was a great guy, great personality, had a little local knowledge on some of the holes that helped out. So I wanted to give him a shout-out. I told him I'd do it yesterday. So if you listen, he's not listening now because he gave up.
Cool.
After 2 hours of shout-outableness.
That was it?
Yeah, that was it yesterday. All right, then we're focusing on the draft. How difficult was it for you to put together a top 5 list?
Not all that difficult.
How did you do yours, by the way? Did you do, like, your top 5 guys, like, I hope they get this guy. If they don't get this guy, I hope this guy's a Jag, down the line? Or did you do 5 guys that they could get all 5 if it falls the right way?
3 of the guys that I have on my list are more first round.
Okay.
If they're going to get it done. The other 2 are more just guys that I've had on my mind for a while that I would love to see land here in Jacksonville ultimately. And, I think both those names would probably be in the second round. I can't imagine either of them being there by the time we got to the third round. So I'm pretty early in the draft with the 5 that I picked.
I've got 3 in the first round, but one of them in a trade back scenario, right? So really only 2 considerations at 17. I got a 3rd/4th rounder and a 4th or later guy as well is how I did it. And you can do it any way you like. If you didn't see our tweets yesterday on the subject matter, the Tuesday top 5 is simply which 5 players would you like to see the Jaguars select in the upcoming NFL draft. These can be your top 5 targets for the 17th pick for the first round. Maybe Roma Dunze, Malik Neighbors, maybe Marvin Harrison Jr. is at the top of your list. That's fine. If that's who you are saying, and I would hope you have some realistic thought that they could come up with a scenario where they could get that guy. I don't know how realistic it is to get Roma Dunze. I think it's a lot more realistic than Marvin Harrison Jr., but the point being, it doesn't have to be, here's a guy who can get in round 1, a guy who can get in round 2. You can do it that way. You can do it any way you like. You come up with your 5-player wish list.
5 guys that if they called the name, you'd be real happy.
Yes, at whatever point.
And it doesn't matter if that list is actually, 20, 25 players long. Who are the 5 that you'd be most happy about if they said that name?
How many guys do you think I have on my list?
More than 5, based on the way you asked. I'll say
I got 8, but I could whittle it down to 5.
8 or 9.
I got 8, but it's like it's a this guy or that guy kind of thing. Like I can't really distinguish between the 2, but if forced to, I will. Right, so I'll give you 5 as we go along, but I'll also give you the broader 8. I'm sure Pockets is going to be a well-researched group. Pockets.
Oh yeah.
You feeling strong about your top 5 today?
Great.
How much homework did you put into
the last 4 minutes?
I was trying to embellish a little here and create a fiction. I said, Pockets, you got a top 5 today? You're going to join the crew? He goes, I'll have one. All right. Well, then, I'm going to say that is a no on do I have one, but a yes on I would love to participate. Pockets, who have we lined up today for the program?
That's a good question. I think we have Demetrius Harvey at 10:40. When you schedule so many guests like I have the last couple of days, I counted yesterday. I texted 32 people.
I feel like we got Shipley today.
That's right. I feel Harvey is Thursday.
They're not interchangeable. Okay? There are 2 of our favorite guys. Demetrius going to join us on Thursday's show, you're saying?
Yes.
Okay. So John Shipley today at 10:40.
Yeah, Hayes Carline's Thursday.
Okay.
D-Rock could not do this week. So, yeah, we got Shipley today, 10:40. That's correct.
And Johnny O in hour number 2.
That's correct.
Coming in today. I try to serve him a layup there, Tony. Just a little underhand toss. Like, knock this one out of the park, Pockets. I think we got Demetrius Harvey. Ryan O'Halloran may follow.
We got
I'm
them
not
all
sure.
sometime over the next
Right.
few days.
Pockets is working on the media mock draft. It's a little more stressful for him. He's got to have 16 people show up at the prescribed time, although 2 of those people are Taylor Dahl. And she is 20 feet away from Pockets.
Yeah, we confirm she will be here at 10 a.m. for the first pick.
Excellent. She'll make the Bears pick. There's no trading, Taylor, so you're stuck with if all those receivers come off the board, you cannot make a move up, and you will take Jared Verse or somebody like that. I don't know who she'll take. It's up to Taylor.
Yeah.
She represents the Bears, but we'll have somebody who covers all the teams in the top 16. And Taylor does do a Bears podcast, if you're not aware of that, and they'll make their selections. They'll be meaningless, but they'll be fun and hopefully entertaining, and you get a feel for what they're talking about in the local markets. That's as fun as anything, Tony, and we harken back to probably the greatest moment in media mock draft history was Jim Wyatt, who was with the Tennessean in Nashville at the time, got Chris Johnson out of East Carolina when nobody at the time was really saying Chris Johnson was even in the first round.
No, yeah.
Right? And we did our media mock draft, I think, then a couple of days before the draft. And in the intervening 48 hours, you started to hear, boy, the Titans really like Chris Johnson. But he had that. Now he works for the team.
Yeah.
So who'd you get for the Titans, by the way, Dylan? Do we know who we've got?
I got Blaine Bishop.
Oh, Blaine Bishop. All right, former Titan. So
yeah.
Hopefully he won't censor himself. You know, it's tough. Like, you're in a position like John Ogier. If you do hear something, you work for the team, you can't really put that out there.
Right.
So, you know, Jim would tend to talk in generalities for years after that. But when he was with the Tennessean in Nashville, was absolutely awesome.
He's
Still
plugged in, yeah.
great guy. I mean, he's plugged in now. You know,
Yeah.
It's just a different role, to be sure. All right, why don't we begin the proceedings here and start the countdown?
Number 5.
I should put him on the spot, Tony, see what he came up with in the last 6.5 minutes. But why don't you lead us off today with number 5?
I will start with Washington. I'll just call him offensive lineman Troy Fautanu, who could play guard, could play tackle. I talked about a little bit when we were going into the combine and guys that I wanted to get a closer look at and see how they tested, like did all those things. Because of his athletic profile and the style of offensive lineman that I think the Jaguars generally have circled, he is one of the few guys that they have talked to in the draft process to this point along the offensive line. And, you know, it was funny, you know, looking at that list yesterday, there were 3 guys that were kind of in that first round range and then nothing until the 6th, right? Among offensive, quote, tackles that they had looked at. There wasn't much at guard that they had looked at all as far as just talking to guys that are playing along those lines. I still think offensive line is very much in play potentially for the Jags at 17, even if it isn't at the top of my list. But if they were going to go that direction, Fautanu would be the guy whose name, if they called it, I would be the most excited about.
All right, and I totally understand that. And it's reasonable. They could be looking at it that, hey, we just re-signed our left guard. Ezra Cleveland's going to be here for the next few years. We have Sheriff for one more year. Yeah. He's a vet, and we've got a young guy we drafted that hasn't had a chance to see the field yet. We feel like we've got some guards in the pipeline. Maybe they feel that way. Also, I heard Mia O'Brien yesterday in Helmets and Heels talking about how, you know, she thinks the move for Odunze is absolutely in play, and that they have talked to a lot of the Washington guys, and she wonders how much of that was doing due diligence on Odunze, right?
Sure.
Like, as much as Fautano's an attractive guy. All right, so you want an offensive lineman. At least he's number 5 on your list.
Yes.
Number 5 for me is the defensive tackle that falls because of X. Okay, and so I got two guys here that represent this. Mason Smith out of LSU, who was coming back from injury, right? So 2 years ago was spectacular. Last year, the numbers weren't there, although down the stretch he started to show that he was getting back to his old self. But because he didn't have a fully healthy year, I've seen his draft stock, Tony, sometimes in the 4th round, and I'd be interested in that range in Mason Smith. The other guy is Tavondre Sweat of Texas, who, at one point people were mocking the Jags with the 48th pick. Now, DUI and the inability to control his weight are serious issues. But, Tone, I mean, nobody in this city thinks the Jags can draft anybody after the 1st round. Never mind after the 2nd or 3rd round, right? And I get it. Balky has had these shots on guys. Sometimes they work. Oftentimes they don't. Why not take one of those 4th-round picks on a talent that if it clicks, you're going to get a guy who may be worthy of a top 50 selection. Sure. So if you want to put one name on it, I'll say Mason Smith because, it's injury. It's not off-the-field issues. I don't know the makeup of Tavondre Sweat. He could be off the Jaguars board entirely. But defensive tackle who falls because of things not related to his ability on the field. Dylan, who do you have at number 5?
I got Fautanu, the Washington tackle, like Tony. This is the only offensive lineman in my top 5. This is more of if the 1st round doesn't go the way that I think it's going to go and the corners go early, and I don't want to take a receiver in the 1st round. I was anti-offensive tackle for a while, but now the more I think about it, with Cam and Little being on a 1-year deal, you need another tackle for the future, and I would be fine with taking offensive tackle Fautanu in the 1st round.
I'm going to say nothing to follow up on Fautanu. I may have some thoughts later on Troy Fautanu, but coming in at number 5 for both Dylan and Tony, Troy Fautanu, the offensive lineman, we'll call him, out of Washington.
He did both in college.
Right, he could play guard, he could play
So I think he's more the body type of a guard in the NFL. That's what he looks like to me, and, it may be a year. Like, if he got drafted here, he may not play all that much his rookie year. It may be more year 2 that you see a lot of him potentially, but he'll be playing somewhere. If they drafted him in the 1st, he'll be playing somewhere in year 2 as a starter. Whether
year
that be
2 for sure.
At right guard or at one of the tackle spots, I think he can play either one and give you a lot of flexibility in there.
All right, so there's an example, right? We're going to be jumping all over the board. Some of these are going to be in the 1st round. Some of these are going to be a little bit later on. Some of these are going to be a player type. But what we're looking for is your top 5 wish list of guys that if the Jaguars call their name at any point during the NFL draft, they're going to make you the most happy. And, a little bit of reality if you think, if you put Marvin Harrison Jr., just at least in your head, you don't have to show your work, but at least in your head, have a plan that you think they realistically have the draft capital to trade up to number 4 and leapfrog all the other teams that might be interested in moving up for quarterbacks. Because I don't see it, but God bless them if they get something like that done. So I go Mason Smith out of LSU in round 4, and Tony and Dylan, Troy Fautanu in round 1. Those are our 5th selections. Hit us up on social media with your list today if you'd like, at MD_1010XL, at 1010XL Fat Tony, or at 1010XL Denmark.
Hold my pocket!
Or hit us up at 641-1010 on the All Pro Roofing phone lines, or on the text line designed by Lifetime Enclosures. Jump in the YouTube chat if you'd like. What else have we got out there, Tony? I don't know. Text line, I think I already mentioned. You know all the ways to reach the program at this point in time. We've got John Shipley, we believe, about 27 minutes away, and John Ogier doubling up on the Johns. John Ogier joins us for hour 2 today as he's moving off his regular date for tomorrow's media mock draft, episode number 83, I believe we're up to right now. Tony Smith is here. Dylan Denmark's here. I'm Mike Dempsey. The NFL draft is about 2.5 days away, so let's talk about it. For the next couple of hours, this is Jaguars Today on 1010XL and 92.5 FM. Hey, folks, Mike Dempsey here for Dandy Foods. You know what? Lunchtime will be here before you know it. Anytime. Maybe you've been working all day. Maybe you're up at 4 a.m. and it's already lunchtime for you. Whatever the case, Dandy's got great food waiting for you. I say great food. I mean it. Made with the highest quality ingredients. Had another one of those turkey and provolones the other day. I get in that kick where I go on one sandwich for a while and their turkey and provolone is absolutely delicious. Cannot believe how absolutely fresh that turkey can taste after it's been in the package in a store like that, and it comes out, and you're just going to absolutely love what you've got from Dandy. Whether it's turkey and provolone, the classic tuna salad that I've loved for so long, maybe some of those breakfast items, protein packs, fruit cups, veggie trays. They got a little something for everybody, no matter what you're looking for. A little pick-me-up on the go. So swing into an area gate station, head to the fresh case, and look for the Dandy label. Dandee. That's how you spell it, and that's how you know you're getting good stuff. When you're hungry, go out and make yours a Dandy, and do it today.
It's Jaguars Today, Tuesday.
Brought to you by Dream Finders Homes from the JOI studios at 1010XL. JOI, where the pros go. Your home for the best Jags coverage.
We go out, we hit people in the mouth.
1010XL, Jacksonville Sports Radio, and 92.5 FM.
The 2024 draft is almost here.
The Jaguars are now on the clock.
Join us at Everbank Stadium Thursday, April 25th for the official draft party presented by Donovan Air Electric and Plumbing. Be there as the Jaguars make the 17th overall pick, and don't miss the unveiling of the official 30th season logo that you voted on. We're getting the party started at 7 p.m. Tickets are free, so register today at jaguars.com/draft party. We can't wait to see you there.
The Jacksonville Jaguars select.
Consider a high-quality metal roof from Prime Roofing for your next roof. Their in-house fabricated metal roofs last longer, reduce cooling costs, and are recyclable. If you want a smarter roof, think metal. Think Prime Roofing. Schedule your free estimate at primeroofingfl.com.
Who's on Jacksonville's big board?
This guy could give us a new spark.
1010XL covers every angle of the draft.
This your team?
Yeah. Listen for draft previews. Brought to you by Big Brothers Big Sisters of Northeast Florida.
It's Taylor Dahl from Helmets and Heels. You know, I've got to tell you about an amazing experience I had recently. I'm moving, which most of you know can be a very stressful time. I had to get my carpets cleaned, so of course I called up Zero Res, and let me tell you, they did not disappoint. Zero Res came in and worked their magic, leaving my carpets looking brand new. If you want impeccable service and a great deal, it saved me time, made my move a bit easier, and was less than if I took that apartment cleaning fee. Zero Res, spelled backward or forwards, is the right way to clean.
Whether you're in need of a simple AC repair or it's time to upgrade your HVAC system, Duck Air Conditioning is here to help. Give us a call today to schedule an estimate, 904-862-6769, or online at duckac.com.
Homeowners and investors, the choice of title company is yours. When making that decision, choose the team of St. John's Title, LLC. As board-certified expert attorney-owned firm with decades of experience, we provide the utmost in precision and professionalism. Conveniently located offices and in-home remote closing options, we serve your needs. Whether refinancing or selling your property, our customer-first approach is tailor-made to your timeline. With a seasoned team of experts and 5-star testimonials from customers across the First Coast, call or visit St. John's Title today.
American Electrical, Northeast Florida's highest-rated electricians, is hiring, and they're looking for people to train for careers. It's not just job training. They're giving you a license that no one can take away from you, training you for jobs that are always in demand and will offer you a peace of mind financially and for the future. Once you know a trade, you'll always be employable. All the details are at american-electrical.com, and with their American Electrical Academy, if you're selected, you'll learn the electrical trade absolutely free of charge. American Electrical Contractors, powered by professionalism.
Keeping your body healthy and active leads to a more vibrant life. A great place to do that is the First Coast YMCA. The Y is equipped with state-of-the-art cardio and strength equipment, plus group exercise studios where trainers host activities like yoga, Zumba, and cycling sessions. The full-court basketball gym and indoor 5-lane swimming pool are open year-round. The Kids Zone can keep an eye on your kids while you work on that dad bod. And it's all available with your family membership. Learn more at fcymca.org.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Jaguars Today on 1010XL.
Chris Sims feeling pretty good today, right? Because Zach Wilson found a new home. His number one quarterback from the draft a few years ago.
Yeah.
Out with the Denver Broncos. Now, he should feel better about that than he does about the mock draft he put out. Holy smokes, Tony. Rome Odunze is available for the Jaguars?
Let's go.
Let's go Nate Wiggins. What? wait. Rome Odunze falls to 17 and the Jags don't take him, says Chris Sims. So we'll draft the 173-pound corner over Odunze. I'm not saying they wouldn't draft Nate Wiggins, but over a Dunze? Come on, man.
Yeah.
Tali Fuanga, Olu Fashanu, Graham Barton, all those guys going after that. Take them all over Nate Wiggins.
Yeah.
Jared Verse. Terry and Arnold goes 27. I will say this. Tony Pauline yesterday talking about Terry and Arnold, how he's much more of a guy who, like, sags off the line. He's better in zone coverage is what he's telling us, you know. And with the concepts Ryan Nielsen wants to play, you know, you wonder if Quinion Mitchell is the number one corner on their board, is Arnold definitely the number two? We don't know.
We don't know.
You know, I don't know what the answer to that is right now. But, the idea that Rome Odunze would be there for the Jags without having to trade anything.
Just sitting there.
Just sitting there at 17. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
There would be some murders in Duval that night if that happened.
Yeah.
6'4", 110-10. I can't be sure who would kill whom. But
I'd be in fear of whatever was going to happen at the draft party.
Lock the doors.
That night.
Turn off the lights. Let's go to Brandon out at the beach. Brandon, good morning. You're on Jaguars Today.
All right, don't roast me and hear my logic on this, okay, before anything. So we give 17 – well, first of all, we don't have – our draft picks from last year with Tank and Brenton, they actually start and play. So we actually feel like we have draft picks now. Get rid of 17, 48.
Well, if you're – Brand, all right, 17, 48. What else?
17, 48, fourth rounder in 2025, go up to 8 with Atlanta, get their 109, and pick up Malik Neighbors. So we have Brenton, Tank, and Malik starting. That's 3 players we didn't have last year.
Okay, what if Malik Neighbors is gone?
By 8, you think he will?
Almost every mock draft has him gone. I'm not saying I guarantee it, but almost every mock draft has him going off the board before 8, yes.
Yeah.
So what if I'm just asking, is this your only contingency that you've got?
Yeah, just try to get there to keep Malik. That's the only thing I'm trying.
It's all good, man. It's all good. I'm not saying. Look, he may be there at 8. The Falcons may be willing to move. That's your preferred move. I got no issue with it. Appreciate the call. A lot of people like Malik Neighbors or Dunze. You prefer Neighbors, it sounds like. Whatever. Okay. That's fine. I don't think that deal. By the way, you're giving in that deal 1 and 2. You're giving a 4th next year. You're getting 4th back this year, right? Because you 109, right? I don't think you're going to get it for that. I just don't. I think there's the market for that pick. If one of those elite receivers is there, I think the Jets are going to be all over it, and they're dropping. If Atlanta takes a deal with the Jets, they only drop to 10. You know, and would the Jets give a 1st and a 2nd to move up 2 spots? Maybe not. I don't know. I can't tell you. The other factor in this, though, Tony, a little bit of a factor. I know the Falcons picked up the Jags' 3rd-round pick. What might they lose by Thursday in the Kirk Cousins tampering thing that's going on? That's what Pro Football Talk has been following this, and they suspect there could be a significant penalty. We've seen the league take away 3rd-round picks over tampering violations, and apparently with everything, Kirk Cousins is blabbing, like, I met with this guy, talked with this guy, all before he was allowed to. And you may think, well, who cares? Everyone does it, but not everyone admits to it.
No, yeah.
Right, on the record. And so if they bust Atlanta, are they more willing to move out of 8 to recoup a little bit of that draft capital? Now, maybe not. I don't know what their complete draft pick haul is.
Sure.
And they do have the extra one from Jacksonville, so maybe it would be as simple as they lose the one they wouldn't have had anyway. I don't know, but if that's the case.
Could be a factor.
If we can't use it, you can't either, is how I feel about that. All right, why don't we jump back in to the countdown. We gave you our number 5 player on our Jaguar draft wish list. Pockets, why don't you fire up
number 4?
Who wants to go next? You want me to go, Pockets? You want to go?
I got it.
All right,
let me
got
take it. 2nd round. Let me get Ricky Pearsall. I know it's probably not going to happen. I don't feel like taking a receiver in the 1st round just because the value's not there, and you can get almost as good a receiver in the 2nd round as the 1st round. I go 2nd round, Ricky Pearsall.
I had a hard time leaving Ricky Pearsall off my 5, but I did because I think that's he's got decent size. I think he's 6'1". He's obviously super fast. I think he can line him up in a lot of ways. I don't look at him as I look at a Dunze and I'm like, man, that guy's carved out of marble. You know what I mean? Like he just profiles as a number 1. Like there's nothing he can't do, size-wise, speed-wise, agility-wise, the whole thing. So I'd prefer a guy like that, obviously, but you don't get a guy like that at 48 either. And maybe Pearsall is going to be there, Tony. I would have no problem if they go defense or O-line or whatever they go in round one. If Pearsall ends up being the wide receiver they add. I went with Kool-Aid McKinstry, and I'll tell you why. I think both the top couple of corners are going to be off the board. I don't want to sit there and take Nate Wiggins. I don't want to sit there at 17 and have the Jags take Kool-Aid McKinstry. This is the trade back scenario to me, that if the board doesn't fall the way I like it, I don't have a chance to trade up into those top 10 picks and get a receiver. Maybe Brian Thomas is gone. Maybe Quinion Mitchell and Terrion Arnold, if they even love both those guys as much as the draft pundits love them. This is just a reflection of the board doesn't have the one guy I have to have, and he is representative of a guy I'd be very happy with if they're able to recoup a little extra draft capital themselves, move back, maybe add a third-round pick. How nice would that be to have another third-round pick this year? Even a fourth, and kind of stack that in there with 114 and 116 and just really be able to focus on a cluster of players at one point. But I went with McKinstry because I do think he's a good player. I do think he's worth a first-round pick. I don't think he's worth 17 in my estimation, and so he will stand there. I would have no problem with him, but he will stand there for all that they might consider in a move back like that if the board looks a certain way.
Okay. For me at number 4, this is another one of these guys that I was talking about a lot going into the Combine and exactly what that workout was going to look like. Stand out at the Senior Bowl. I was very excited when Chad Ryder had him in the second round of the Jags just over this week, right? And we talked to Chad about this yesterday. Braden Fisk, the defensive tackle out of Florida State. He's a guy that when the process began, as you mentioned, 5th round, you would see his name a lot. Now it certainly looks like you're going to have to spend a pick in the second round to get Fisk when everything is said and done. I was really unsure about how the Jags were going to feel about a guy with his measurables, right, to play defensive tackle, but they at least met with him. There seems to be interest from the Jaguars side in Braden Fisk, and man, do I love watching him. Like, he is just a guy that when you give him opportunities, he creates pressure. He was one of the best in the country at doing that from the inside this year at Florida State, an absolutely dynamic interior pass rusher, and it's certainly a position that the Jags could be thinking about at any time, in the first couple days of the draft is defensive tackle. It's not exactly a position group that is deep for this football team. So number 4 on my list for me, Braden Fisk.
All right, so you're Fautanu and Fisk. Pockets is Fautanu and Pearsall. I am Mason Smith in the 4th or later, and Kool-Aid McKinstry after a trade down. Those are my 5 and 4 selections. You can submit your list of your 5 players. They can be anything you like. Can be all 5 guys that you would target in a trade up into the top 10. Here are the 5 best players I think would fit the Jags. Could be 5 guys you'd be happy with at 17. Could be 5 guys spread throughout the draft. Could be a combination of all of these things. So, boy, it's just really like I'm looking at the Sims mock a little bit more. Do you really think that Odunze has any chance at this point of falling?
No.
Even I'd be shocked if he got past 10. And even that, to me, would be kind of late for him to go.
I mean, we asked Tony about that yesterday, Tony Pauline.
Yeah.
Who had neighbors going at 13. And I asked him, what's the latest you can see any of these top 3 receivers going? He said, that was it, 13. Right? Like, that's where he thinks the floor is for these guys in this year's draft, which maybe if one of them slips to there, the Jags want to make a move, and I don't know what that would cost with another team. It's like they slipped a what? Right? Because it does feel like there's a value in those 3 guys there's a reason that they've been separated throughout this entire process. So if they started slipping like that, there'd be a bunch of teams, I think, that would be willing to make calls, to make offers, to try to get to wherever the last of those 3 guys is going to be available. But I cannot imagine one of the top 3 wide receivers in this draft being there at 17 or 18.
No way. I can't even imagine him being there at 13.
No.
Now, again, there are funny things that can happen there. Like at 10, could the Jets take Brock Bowers over Odunze? Okay, They could go that way, for instance. Okay, who's picking at 11 now? right? Is Minnesota at 11, or did they move up?
Yeah.
If they moved up to the Chargers pick, you think that he's getting past the Chargers?
Right.
Who just lost Keenan Allen and Mike Williams? I mean, by choice, but you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Come on. I just don't understand that. And let's say Minnesota can't move up, and maybe the Raiders jump up there and get a quarterback. And let's say Minnesota's sitting there. If you're at 11 and you're the Vikings, would you consider taking a Dunze and trying to get the crazy haul for Justin Jefferson before you have to pay him $35 million plus a year? I don't know. It may not be the best time to do it because all the teams with top 10 picks this year have already exercised them. You know what I mean? But I wonder how close they think they are to a rebuild, or they think they can get the right quarterback in there and salvage it.
That'd be aggressive. I mean, they spent a first-round pick on Addison last year, too.
Yeah, I know, but, I mean, that's a lot of money to be tied up in one position when you're not sure you got the quarterback or you're going to have the quarterback, at least in the near future.
Sure.
Maybe it'll be Sam Darnold. Who knows? Our quarterback will be John Shipley for the next 15 to 20 minutes from Jaguar Report. Going to talk about what he is hearing. What's the latest scuttlebutt? What's the likelihood the Jags make a move up, make a move back? Who do he thinks that the Jags covet the most? And it is lying season, so we'll see what John's been able to piece together about the Jaguars' intentions as he joins us coming up. And then next hour, it's John Oehser from Jaguars.com, the senior writer. Will tell us all his thoughts 2 days out from this year's NFL Draft. We'll pick up the countdown with number 3 at the top of the hour as well. So send us your top 5 wish list for the Jags, either on social media or on the All-Pro Roofing phone lines or the text line designed by Lifetime Enclosures, both of those at 641-1010. With Tony Smith and Dylan Denmark, I'm Mike Dempsey. You're listening to Jaguars Today. John Shipley coming up on the other side on 1010XL 92.5 FM.
It's a Jaguars Today Tuesday on 1010XL.
From the Jacksonville Orthopedic Institute studios.
Brought to you by Dreamfinders Homes. What's that? Find 1010XL on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram by searching 1010XL. And follow the conversation on social media, because listening at the dinner table would be rude.
Here's Linda Beaver.
Beaver Toyota and Beaver Chevrolet have just received a special allocation of new vehicles directly from the factory. Not 10, not 20, but hundreds of new vehicles with special savings that haven't been seen in years. Every new vehicle available in your favorite color and option as far as the eye can see. Plus, get our exclusive 20-year, 200,000-mile warranty with every new car purchase. Hurry to Beaver Toyota in St. Augustine or Beaver Chevrolet in Jacksonville before the best deals are gone.
Hey, Scarline here. Tired of missing out on the conversation due to hearing loss? At Jacksonville Hearing and Balance, their team of audiologists led by Dr. Douglas Green can help you rediscover the joy of connection. Visit jhbi.org today.
Mia here. Looking to spruce up your home or business for the spring? Window Gang's exterior cleaning services will remove stubborn stains, restore windows to a clear shine, and ensure your gutters flow freely. Call 262-7300 for a free estimate.
Hey, sports fans, it's Ace Carline for Kingfish Pest Control. Are mosquitoes turning your outdoor fun into a full contact sport? Time to call in Kingfish Pest Control. I can tell you from my own experience, they are the MVPs of mosquito elimination. See for yourself. Call Kingfish Pest Control today and get an unbeatable 50% off your first treatment. That's right, sign up for a full season of lockdown coverage and get 50% off your first treatment. Don't let mosquitoes steal your home field advantage. Reclaim your yard with Kingfish Pest Control.
Corona's the cold one you're craving all spring and all summer. Always refreshing, always hitting the spot. And with Corona Premier, it's only 90 calories and pairs perfectly with almost any appetite or adventure. It's easy to enjoy the summer sun when you know reaching for a cold Corona is only a cooler away. Corona Premier, light and refreshing. Perfect any day or night under the sun.
Corona's never missed a Cinco de Mayo party. Neither should you.
Celebrate Cinco de Mayo all weekend with a Corona.
For your chance to win 4-day VIP weekend passes for the Welcome to Rockville Festival in Daytona, May 9th through 12th, text the word ROCK to the 1010XL text line designed by Lifetime Enclosures at 641-1010.
Wintertime at the Blue Crab Crab House. You know what that means. Time for oysters. Buy them by the tray, broiled, half shell with Romano cheese, wine topping, or fried. And of course, each and every Wednesday, $1 oysters at the Blue Crab Crab House. Serving Northeast Florida since 1996. Make reservations by calling 260-CRAB. Jacksonville's best, the Blue Crab Crab House off of San Jose on Jewington Creek Road.
Bueller Air Conditioning presents Are You Cool?
Today's challenger, a corporate management manager from Jacksonville, Florida. Meet Les Blankston.
Hi, Bob.
That is a remarkably beige suit there, Les. Tell us, why are you on the show?
Well, I just replaced my old air conditioner with a new one from Bueller, and I'm just so comfortable these days. I wondered, am I cool now?
Let's find out, Les. Go ahead and spin the wheel.
That's right, Les. By upgrading your old AC to a more energy-efficient model from Bueller Air Conditioning, you'll save money, save energy, and proudly show your family that you are cool.
Ooh, do you think I should get a mohawk?
Pace yourself, Les.
Stay cooler with Bueller.
Visit BuellerAir.com.
Test your aim to help local kids succeed. It's the 6th annual Mackenzie Noel Wilson Foundation Clay Shoot to support the Boys and Girls Clubs of Northeast Florida and Mackenzie's Camp Deep Pond, Thursday, May 30th at Jack's Clay Target Sports. Get your team and the Boys and Girls Club take care of the rest. Ammo, cart, clays, breakfast bites, lunch, and goodies. Proceeds benefit 56 area clubs serving over 5,200 area kids every day. Go to bgcnf.org/events.
What's colder, the North or the South Pole? The answer coming up.
Filing any homeowner's claim is really easy with Southern Oak Insurance. Simply file your claim directly with us. We'll handle the vendors. It will save money for you.
Our family protecting yours. Southern Oak Insurance.
The South Pole is colder than the North Pole, which is an ocean surrounded by land. The South Pole is land surrounded by ocean.
Southern Oak Insurance. Our family protecting yours.
Hello, this is Father Nicholas Lowe, and I want to talk to you about not being afraid of the crosses of life. Life can be difficult. Maybe today you're carrying a cross of worry or stress. Let me encourage you to remember that when Christ got on the big cross at Golgotha, he destroyed all the little crosses that we face in our life. He set us free from fear, worry, and anxiety. Our job is not to be carried by the cross, but to be carried by our faith.
For more inspiration, log on to stjohnthedivine.com.
Electricians, innovators, and tech enthusiasts, listen up. Miller Electric is shaping the future, and we want you to be a part of it. From healthcare and data centers, corporate offices, aviation, and industrial facilities, Miller Electric is powering the most exciting projects in Jacksonville and beyond. We offer not just a job, but a thrilling career with great pay and incredible benefits. Visit us at millercareers.com to apply. Miller Electric, where your skills meet our vision, and equal opportunity employer.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Let's ring up another guest on the All-Pro Roofing phone line. Now, more Jaguars Today on 1010XL.
Here we go. Got our man John Shipley from Jaguar Report. He is on the scene. Just went to Satrielli's, Tony. Got himself some of the good gabagool. He's ready to go. Mr. John Shipley joining Jaguars Today. Good morning, John. How are you, bud?
I'm doing good. You know, it's actually funny. My wife exposed me on Twitter a few weeks ago for actually not liking gabagool, despite how often I love saying it. So
it is fun. Yeah, I don't know how Capicola becomes gabagool, but that's fine. You know, whatever. We all like to bring out the inner Italian in ourselves when we hear pronunciations like that, and we do it with love in our heart. John, we asked a question yesterday. I'm going to give you 4 scenarios for the first round, okay?
Okay.
I would like you to rank these in order of likelihood, okay, for what you think the Jags might do, okay? Number 1 is trade into the top 10 for a receiver. Okay. Number 2 is trade the 17th pick for a veteran wide receiver, as you know, whether it's straight up or part of a package, like an Ayuk Higgins deal. Number 3 is just stand pat, take the best available player at 17. And number 4 is look at the board, and say, why don't we trade back a little bit because we got a lot of good targets here? What do you think is the most likely of those 4 scenarios?
Man, I really could, look like a fool on a few days, especially with all the smoke going around. But I still believe 3 and 4 are your 1 and 2 most likely scenarios there. Just with how we've seen this front office operate in the past, I really think it's more likely that they let the draft come to them and then make a decision, from there. I do think that there'd be interest in them to move into the top 10. But one, you have to consider just how early these receivers fall off the board. I mean, Marvin Harrison Jr. is probably going number 4 or number 5. Then Malik Neighbors, is probably going number 5 or number 6. And Roma Dunze could go, 8, 9. He could even, go higher than that. So I think it's more likely that they stay where they're at and let the draft come to them.
What, along those kind of lines, John, what are the odds that the Jags just don't make a pick at 17, whether that be move up or move back?
I don't think it's small odds. I think that there's a good chance, especially in this specific draft. I think that there's a lot of desire from other teams to move, up and down the board, maybe even more so than past years. It wouldn't surprise me if we see a situation like when they picked Anton Harrison last year where, they kind of surprised everybody and moved down twice and still get their guy. I think, especially if your guy's like a cornerback, like maybe like a Kool-Aid McKinstry or Nate Wiggins or something like that, or even a defensive lineman, I think you very easily can move down once or twice and still get your guy.
Yeah, I think that's possible as well. John, this is a tough question to answer, but you're a tough guy, so I'm going to ask you anyway. And, if we knew the answer to this, we'd be broadcasting and we'd be telling you what we think. But is there a guy you think, maybe on both sides of this, like we look at Quinion Mitchell and Terrion Arnold as the top 2 corners, right? And I was talking, we had a Tony Pauline, a draft correspondent on yesterday. He's talking about how Terrion Arnold is better at playing off the ball a little bit and closing on guys. And, so maybe the Jags look at him and say he's not perfect for Ryan Nielsen's scheme. Do you think there is a player on both sides of the ledger, one that they probably like a lot more than we know about, and maybe they're not as enamored with one of the guys that we always talk about them considering at 17? Do you have any inclination in either of those 2 categories?
Yeah, I think just speaking specifically first about Kenyon, I think Tony Pauline was right on the money. I mean, you watch his tape, and it's almost exclusively off coverage. There's very few press reps in there. I know he did some at the Senior Bowl. On the flip side, one of the analytic guys came up with a great website that you can, go and look at specific averages and thresholds of, athletic testings that general managers pick. And when you look at all the average cornerback thresholds, only 2 cornerbacks in this class meet pretty much every single one, and that's Kenyon Mitchell and Cooper DeJean. So I think that Kenyon is the prototypical bulky cornerback physically. It's just, kind of translating that to actually being a press cornerback as opposed to off. I think in terms of guys that they may be higher on than maybe the consensus of public, I still come back to Kool-Aid McKinstry. I mean, he has most of the physical traits that they look for, and, you ask people both around the league and some of the top evaluators of the draft, he's pretty much considered, the most pro-ready press cornerback. He's excelled in it. He had a master's in it at Alabama. And most people see him as kind of a set-it-and-forget-it, press corner. I'm not sure if the ceiling is there that most people would want, but I think the floor, especially in this scheme, is way up there. We know Balky loves drafting from big schools, winning programs. I think there's a very feasible chance that they're higher on Kool-Aid than most fans are. In terms of a guy they may be lower on, I come back to Brian Thomas. I know that he's seen as to a lot of people as an ideal option at number 17. But I think, a few different things with him. I think he had some strength issues at times at LSU. He's a burner with 4.3 speed, great size, but he's not really an overly physical receiver. He reminds me a lot of Christian Watson coming out of North Dakota State a few years ago. And Watson's been a big play threat at times for Green Bay, but he's also been more of a role player than a true number 1. And he's a guy who I just think, looking at what they've looked at a receiver in the past, I'm not sure they'll be as high on him as some people are.
I will just say, interject, I think Watson is a true number 1. I think his problems have been health. I think if Watson
certainly been a problem.
Healthy for a full season, I think it's a look out with that guy.
No doubt. And I would say, John, certainly the top 3 receivers are all going to be in play. You just mentioned, Thomas there, and that's been the number 4 guy on a lot of people's boards to this point. You talked about a bunch of corners. How many corners and wide receivers do you think the Jags are seriously considering at 17 if they don't move from that pick?
I think probably, you can't count any of the big three receivers because there's no chance, despite Chris Demps' mock draft, there's no chance any of them fall, the 17. Romo Dunze won't be sitting there for them at 17. There's very few absolutes in the draft, but I feel like that's probably one of them. So in terms of receivers, I'm not sure how many they consider there because the guys projected to maybe go in that range, Brian Thomas, Adonai Mitchell, I think Xavier Worthy might surprise some people and go in the early 20s. I'm just not sure any of them is a great fit. As for cornerbacks, I think Aaron Arnold, Kenyon Mitchell, I think Kool-Aid McKinstry will be in there. And so I think you probably have 3 to 4 cornerbacks who may be in there. You maybe throw in Cooper DeJean. Nate Wiggins doesn't really seem like their type from a prototypical size standpoint, but he's maybe the best pure cover guy in the draft, so maybe you can throw him in there. So I think there are more corner options than there are receiver options at 17.
How do you think, as we're talking here with John Shipley of Jaguar Report, John, how do you think the Jags view their current state of need at offensive and defensive tackle? We all look at it and say, oh, well, you got 2 guys who are not going to be here after this year, but they may look at it and say, well, we got 3 guys who could start at offensive tackle right now. So how do you think those 2 spots, O tackle, D tackle, how do you think they perceive their need?
Yeah, I think offensive tackle, they probably feel good about it in the sense of entering the 2024 season. I mean, you have 3 guys who can start and play well, and Anton Harrison, Cam Robinson, and Walker Little. The question is after 2024, and that's when you can maybe see them draft for a future need as opposed to an immediate need because Robinson's entering contract year, Little's entering a contract year. There's no guarantees either guy is going to be there. I mean, even if you lose one guy, you still have a need at offensive tackle because you still need a swing tackle. I mean, we've seen the Jaguars have been a perfect example of why you need 3 offensive tackles the last 2 years with the issues they've had with Cam Robinson's injuries and suspensions. So they probably don't see it as an immediate need, but I think that they'll probably draft an offensive tackle maybe round 3, maybe round 4 to develop and, kind of slot into somewhere next year when you potentially have 2 guys leave. Defensive tackle is interesting to me. I actually don't think that they have a ton of depth at defensive tackle. They obviously have Eric Armstead who's going to play a big role. Devon Hamilton, is under contract for a big extension. He's just 26. He's hopefully going to be, coming back fully healthy this year. Will Robinson Harris is going to play a big role. But behind them, I think that there's questions. Tyler Lacey, Adam Gotsis, Jeremiah Ledbetter. 2 of those are veteran options. One guy is, a rookie last year who had a little bit of a redshirt year, didn't play as much. I think you could conceivably, add a guy early in the draft, whether that's first or second round, and maybe he doesn't start right away, but there's a very real chance he could be going into 2025 and either being a starter or a key guy in the rotation because they are older at defensive tackle right now. I think Hamilton and Lacey are the only sub-30 guys they have.
What, in your mind, John, would be the best and the worst case scenario for the Jags at 17 on Thursday night?
Worst case scenario, I think, is you see the top 2 corners off the board and that there's not a great defensive line option. Like whether you see Byron Murphy or Johnny Newton or Jared Verse come off, I think having to reach at whether it's cornerback, defensive line, or receiver, like I'm a fan of Kool-Aid, but I think you get better value by trading down and selecting him. So I think that's probably the worst case scenario. Best case scenario, I think, is one of Kenyon or Terrion Arnold's there. They're 2 very different cornerbacks, but I think that they both would be able to fill big needs in their own way.
Who's the guy that the Jags could reasonably take at 17 that you think would surprise the most people?
Would Jared Verse be an option maybe? Jared Verse, sure. Johnny Newton. I think either one of those guys. I don't think most people are expecting a defensive lineman considering, they have their edges locked up. They realistically have their starting defensive tackles locked up. I don't think most people are necessarily expecting that. Kool-Aid, I feel like I've banged that drum to death over like the last month or so, in articles and stuff. So he's wouldn't really be surprising to me. I mean, other than that, it's tough for me to think about many surprises considering how many, scenarios that we ran through. Maybe they, reach for a guy like Enos Rakestraw or Darius Robinson. I think those would be considered surprises.
Oh, yeah.
Honestly, both, they seem like bulky guys, especially Robinson.
How would you feel about a guy like Jared Verse? Like you said, you got your edges locked up, and he may be a really good player, and you do rotate guys in, but you wouldn't feel like there was a starting job available anytime in the near future.
No, there wouldn't be. I think if you take a guy like that they have to take advantage of it by having a healthy rotation and by moving guys around, whether it's moving Trayvon inside more on pass rushing downs or even taking some snaps, away from him that he normally plays and playing a third edge. They haven't done that in the past. They kind of just let their starters play the last few years. So I'm interested to see if Ryan Nielsen would have a different philosophy. But I do think that's a scenario where you take a third edge and you can utilize him, especially with Trayvon's versatility.
Based on what we've seen from Trent Baalke as a GM here in Jacksonville and his time there in San Francisco, what do you think we should expect to see from Baalke with just his style of drafting this week?
A lot of SEC players, probably, like big school guys. I think that a couple defensive backs is probably, feasible. It seems like most draft classes, even going back to his San Francisco days, he hits those, cornerback and safety pretty hard. I think that you can probably factor in a running back at some point. I know they seemingly have their 1, 2, 3 guys, and, with Dearness Johnson as the third, but he's literally taken a running back in every single draft of his career. And I'm sure there's been years where they had already 3 veteran running backs on the roster. So it wouldn't surprise me to see a late, day 3 pick on a running back, and an emphasis on guys who have a lot of special teams value. I think you saw that last year on day 3, but I think especially this year with the change in special teams rules, that they're going to make some picks based purely on special teams as opposed to what they can do on offense and defense.
Yeah, they draft a running back, bro. Oof. Oh, my gosh. I mean, what are we doing? Come on. I'm not going against your methodology here. I understand your evidence is sound. I'm just saying, please, we can stop that streak, right? Streaks are meant to be snapped at some point in time. All right, Chip, what are you going to be doing between now and the draft, and in terms of, throughout the draft, what would you like folks to know about your coverage?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm working on something right now, trying to get it done for day before the morning of the draft, just looking at Trent Baalke's history of top 30 visits and whether there's actually any correlation. I tweeted something yesterday about the first-round picks. I didn't include 2021 because it was a virtual year and nobody in the NFL. But other than that, 7 of his 12 first-round picks have had top 30 visits. More with the 49ers than with the Jaguars, but I'm just trying to see if there's any actual correlation between, the guys that they bring in to look at and whether they actually pick them. And other than that, just continuing to do, draft coverage up till the draft, looking at every rumor that we see and hear, and also podcasting with my good friend Gus Logue with the Jaguar Report podcast. We'll have an episode out tomorrow where we give our final prediction and final first-round mock for the Jags.
Love it. Let's see. Oh, I thought that might have been Gus right there. That was E.T. Walking in past pockets there a moment ago. All right. Well, Ship, we appreciate your many visits with us throughout the process, and we'll look forward to catching up with you frequently throughout the summer as well, including a recap at some point of what the Jags actually pull off from Thursday through Saturday this year.
Thank you, my friends. I appreciate it.
All right, buddy. There he goes. _John_Shipley is where you'll find him on X or Twitter, whatever you're calling it, at _John_Shipley. Hey, Pockets, when we squeeze in the next one in the countdown here, all right, since we got a couple of minutes, we got John Ogier on the other side. We're counting down the 5 players we'd most like the Jags to select in the NFL draft coming up.
Number 3.
All right, I guess it's me for number 3 here. I gave you Mason Smith, representing a defensive tackle who falls into the later rounds due to, not talent, but something else, in his case, injury. Kool-Aid McKinstry at 4 after a trade back. My next one, Tony, is preferably a 4th-round target. You might have to take him at 96. He could be gone at 96, depending on how other teams have their board stacked. But Renardo Green, the corner out of Florida State, has the size that Baalke likes. He's fast. He's over 6 feet tall. He did a really good job head-to-head against LSU with Malik Neighbors, Brian Thomas Jr. That's been, kind of singled out in this process. He's done well throughout the process. I've seen a lot of the big boards out there have him ranked around the 100th best player. That's why I'd love to get him at 114, right? If you had to spend the 96 pick, I don't have any issue with that. I think he's got future starter written all over him, and this is an example of this is a position you can find guys throughout the draft. Usually can come in and help, Maybe they're not superstars. Maybe Quinion Mitchell turns out to be a superstar. But if he's not available to you at 17, I think Renardo Green would be a tremendous mid-round target for the Jaguars at corner. So that's who I got at number 3. Dylan, who do you have at 3?
Number 3, I was between Byron Murphy and Jared Verse here I was just talking about. I will go Byron Murphy, interior D-line. You can never have enough interior defensive linemen on a team. You got guys, like you mentioned, you can rotate them. Byron Murphy, go along with Eric Armstead, Trayvon Walker, and Josh Allen's pretty good.
Tony, before you give the pick, who would you rather have, Verse or Murphy?
Verse.
I'd rather have Murphy, too. Just more about how often I think I could get him on the field and all that. They're both tremendous players. I don't think they're the ideal pick at 17 for the Jags, but hey, that's me, So who do you have, Tony, for number 3?
Number 3, again, guy who at the combine disappointed because of the 40 time. But I'm letting that go because of who I think he is as a player and where you'd be getting him at this point. We were talking about Keon Coleman at 17 a lot.
People were talking about Keon Coleman in the top 10,
right?
In the early part of the
look. I get it. The 40 time's going to scare a bunch of people off, but if he was still available in the second round, I don't think there are many players that are going to be at wide receiver available in the second round of the draft that have the kind of potential upside that a guy like Keon Coleman seems to have to me. And I think you put him in an offense where you have Kirk, who can control the middle of the field, Ingram, who can control the middle of the field, and let Coleman play on the outside and stretch the field and give him the opportunity to win those jump balls, which is what I think he is strongest at. I would love that kind of fit in Jacksonville. That's obviously assuming they don't do anything at wide receiver in the first round. But if Keon Coleman was still there in the second round, they hadn't taken one in the first, I would be thrilled if that was the name that was called.
All right, Keon Coleman, Tony leaning into Florida State. I guess I was too a little bit with Renardo Green at least. And, Jared Verse, his name's been thrown around a little bit here. Braden Fisk, plenty of guys. Look, I don't want to be that provincial, but, you get Ricky Pearsall and Braden Fisk, and, I don't know if you're going to be able to get them both. They'd probably both be your target at 48. We could put together a pretty good list from the local area college teams. Let's put it that way. All right, we'll come back. John Ogier is going to join us from Jaguars.com. We'll continue the countdown and look at some of your top 5 wish lists as well, your Tuesday top 5 with the top 5 guys you'd most like to see the Jaguars select in the upcoming NFL Draft. Mike Dempsey, Tony Smith, and Dylan Denmark here with you. Jaguars Today on 1010XL and 92.5 FM.
Jaguars Today Tuesday on 1010XL is brought to you by Dreamfinders Homes.
From the Jacksonville Orthopedic Institute studios.
You've got a lot on your mind.
Text me the play-by-play.
And so do we.
And make no mistake about it, gentlemen.
This is Jacksonville Sports Radio, 1010XL.
Is your AC system showing signs of wear and tear? Get ahead of your AC system replacement before the summer with JTM Comfort Services. Nothing worse than coming home on a hot summer afternoon to find your AC stopped working. Right now, get a special rebate on the purchase and installation of an 18 to 20 SEER Bosch heat pump system. Financing now available on qualified repairs and replacements.
Your comfort is our name. Call my dad to keep you in the game.
If your ride is making strange noises, don't wait and make it worse. Come to Action Transmission on Merrill Road. My expert technicians can diagnose the problem and likely fix it fast. Experience the difference at Action Transmission on Merrill Road.
The sun's out, the water's cool. It's a perfect day for boating.
What's that boat doing?
Perfect boating days can quickly turn into disasters when drugs and alcohol are involved. Don't let boating under the influence ruin your day. FWC officers have zero tolerance for impaired operators. If you're over the limit, you're under arrest. Learn more at myfwc.com. Brought to you by the FWC Division of Law Enforcement.
The flagship station of the Jacksonville Jaguars. WJXL AM Jacksonville Beach. WJXL FM Jacksonville Beach.
Plenty of hot spots all over the First Coast, from the beaches to Riverside, San Marco, and St. Aug. If you're out and about and having fun, make sure you designate a driver so everyone on the road gets home safely. Budweiser, reminding you to play it smart.
My son and I just built a rabbit hutch for 2 bunnies he got the girls for Easter. That gives them a dog, 3 cats, a snake, a gecko, and 2 bunnies. At Zerez, we love pets. If you're a pet lover and need some help cleaning up after those furry friends, give Zerez a call. For April, Zerez is offering 25% off on all floor cleaning services. That's 25% off the cleaning of your carpets, tile and grout, vinyl and wood floors, and your area rugs. Zerez, spelled forward or backwards, it's the right way to clean.
Zerez.
Attention veterans, if you have a VA loan, you need to listen to this, especially if your current rate is higher than 6.5%. Now is the time to take advantage of the federal government's VA Streamlined Refinance Program. With my friends at Loan Pronto, you can. Go to loanpronto.com. Prosser here, and Loan Pronto has fixed rate APRs in the 5s. You can drop your rate now. Lower your payment with no income documentation and no appraisal. Do it at loanpronto.com. Their all-digital platform makes it easy. They can even cover your closing costs. If you need cash now, Loan Pronto can get you up to 100% of your home value. You can pay off all your credit cards or other debt and save as much as $1,000 a month. Call Loan Pronto now at 904-999-1508 or get a 30-second rate quote at loanpronto.com. Ask about streamlined VA loans, no income doc, and no appraisal. Loan Pronto, 999-1508 or loanpronto.com. Equal housing lender, NMLS 1661781, subject to lender approval.
This is Molly McDonald with your 1010XL Southeast Orthopedic Specialist Local Sports Update, brought to you by Awaken 180. The Orlando Magic fall behind 2-0 in the series against the Cavaliers in round 1 of the NBA playoffs. The Cavs won last night in 96-86. Game 3 will be played back in Orlando Thursday at 7 p.m. The Gators are back at home as they host the Stetson Hatters tonight for a midweek rematch. The Hatters won last game by 3 runs. Gators looking to even the season series with first pitch at 6:30. The Duval Draft Party is this Thursday at the Everbank Stadium at 7 p.m. The Jaguars welcome fans to the free fan event on the main field to celebrate the 17th overall pick, including locker room tours, live draft analysis, and appearances from head coach Doug Peterson and current and former Jags players. It's 70 degrees at 11 o'clock, time and temp brought to you by Bueller Air Conditioning. Stay cooler with Bueller.
1010XL is presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Mac in the middle. Tom. Oh No's with Jaguars.com's John Osher. Brought to you by
Kingfish Pest Control, proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
On 1010XL.
Oops. We are not living in a simulation. We cannot skip ahead to Friday. And Pockets, let us know. Who was the pick, by the way, last night? Did we do well? Pockets?
Yeah.
You got any info on that? How'd we do? Did we trade out of the first round entirely?
Not yet.
No?
No.
So who did we select last night?
We went with Marvin Harrison. At 17.
Really?
Yeah, we
at
did.
17?
Yeah, they had a guy.
Senior.
Yep, senior.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Senior.
Yeah.
I don't know if he's draft eligible. What would happen, John, if we turned in the card with Marvin Harrison Sr.'s name on it?
Well, it'd be a quiet press conference.
No,
you know that.
He wouldn't say much,
no.
right?
I covered Marvin for 10 years, and I think I interviewed him 4 times. Liked the guy, got along well with him, but he did not
You ever get a car wash from him?
No.
Just checking. All right. I heard that was a dangerous route to go. Johnny, how are you? How are things down at World Headquarters for the Jacksonville Jaguars?
Good.
Are they excited? Like is most of the work done at this point? We're just passing the time? Or?
Yeah, from what Trent said, they were meeting. He and Doug were meeting on Monday.
Mm-hmm.
You would think by now, Tuesday, about 48 hours out, the board should be set with rare exceptions. Most GMs, once you touch the board, once you complete the board, you don't go back and reset it. So I think after that meeting with Doug, they're done. And
get some golf in. Let's go.
Hayes in the barn, go have some lunch, and go have a run on Thursday and get ready to go.
All right, let me give you the scenarios I gave John Shipley about 20 minutes ago. Okay, we ran a poll yesterday. By the way, I'll give you the results of that poll here, but you tell us what you think is most likely out of these scenarios to play out for the Jaguars. Scenario 1, they trade into the top 10 for wide receiver. We asked people what they'd prefer out of these options. That got 30% of the vote, came in second. So trade in the top 10 for a receiver is option 1. Option 2, use that 17th pick either straight up or as part of a package to get a veteran receiver, an Ayuk, a Higgins, for example. 26% preferred that route. Just take the best available player, regardless of position, at 17, 33.7, the most people voted for that option. Or looking at the board, we've all looked at some of these mocks and like the next 6 picks after the Jags, it all makes sense for Jacksonville, right? So trade down from 17, being the 4th option. So you can
What I think is most likely.
What's your feel of what's going to play out?
I definitely do not think that they trade up into the top 10.
Okay, you definitely don't.
I mean, I think if they trade up, it would be a couple of spots to get a guy that they're targeting at 17. Does that make sense? Rather than
a Quinion, more like a corner, get ahead of Indy to get a corner.
If all of a sudden they look at it and say, okay, we've fallen in love with a corner. I just think the equity that it would take to get up to 9 to get a receiver.
Okay.
Now you're burning off probably a 3rd-round pick,
more than that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, this year's So
to get to 9, it's basically 17 and 48 is worth the 9th and like a 7th rounder.
So they have other stuff they got to go get too. So I don't think they're going up that high. I mean, they're not. But I don't think
just to play devil's advocate, and I tend to agree with you, but, there is the whole, a year from now, Rome Odunze, who, let's say, is available at 9, is a star, and let's say you take Brian Thomas and whomever in round 2, okay? And Brian Thomas just didn't click right, or maybe he has a 600-yard rookie season, and Odunze's 1,200. It's not inconceivable
No, it's not.
that he could be worth those two guys.
I'm so off of receiver as a possibility in the 1st round.
You don't think they're doing that at
No,
all?
Because I just think the draft this year lines up with it's strong at receiver through rounds 3 or 4. And to go up and burn equity to get up when you think you can get a starter in round 3.
Starter versus star, though.
I know. And I completely get the rationale. But that's sort of my pre-draft theory, so I'm sticking to it.
So does that mean as well you eliminate the veteran one of the receiver
last 2
route? You do, okay.
Options. I would probably, if I had to put money on one of them, I'd probably take 4, moving back a slot or 2. But as we talked about last week, you just don't know until you see the board on Thursday night because you know it's there. But if they're in that situation where, hey, there's 4 guys there we like, let's go back 2 spots. He's done it. He's very comfortable doing it, so I don't see why he wouldn't do it this year. Trent, meaning.
Yeah, it makes sense. I tend to agree with you. It won't reflect on my list of the top 5 we're doing because I do have a wide receiver still on my top 2 here that we'll get to a little bit later. But I tend to agree with you. When you're trying to predict what the team is going to wind up doing in the draft, it does feel to me more and more like wide receiver is not at the center of what they're thinking, and it becomes less and less likely in my mind that they're going to be willing to make the big move to get up into the top 10 to make something like that happen, given not only that it's difficult to figure out, but I do think the number of quarterbacks that are involved in this year's draft process make that even more complicated as far as what is the price that you're going to be willing to pay when you're going to be bidding against other teams that are willing to pay the quarterback price to move up into these spots where you're trying to pay the wide receiver price to get up into them. I do think it complicates it to a large degree as far as the Jags trying to figure out what exactly they should be paying.
But at the same time, right, and you could have a case where quarterbacks go 1, 2, 3.
Sure.
The price is then paid to get to 4, right? And Minnesota makes that move. And now you've got all these receivers, maybe 1 or 2 of which would have been off the board already in past years, now available at a slightly cheaper pick. I'm more with you, Tone. I don't think they're going to package it all together and make this run. I don't know if they feel like they're Rome Odunze away from being the best team in the AFC kind of thing, but it's beauty
if you're
of
asking
it.
for percentages, I'm not saying they definitely won't go up and do that. I would say they're more
It's
apt
low.
to stay at 17 and pick or trade back a couple
We
spots.
should just get Mia in here and debate John back and forth. Mia yesterday was so I came away with the impression from Mia O'Brien that she thinks that move up to get the receiver is very much in play. I don't know. Like you guys are around it more, I'm fascinated I'm an interested observer either way, and if they do go up, I don't think that's the best use of the resources, but I don't think, I'm at least willing, John, I hope most Jaguar fans are, if it doesn't play out in your preferred scenario, maybe the scenario that it does play out in actually works. Maybe Rome Odunze is going to be one of these guys that comes in and is an instant Pro Bowler and a future All-Pro, and the Jags, in hindsight, got him for cheap.
Yeah, we can talk all we want about anything.
We just don't know.
If you get a good player, it's a great move.
Right, well,
no matter what.
It depends.
Well,
I mean, if you get a good player, but you could have sat still and taken two good players, maybe it's not. You
usually don't regret it if the guy's good, even if you miss out on something.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying.
Because you won't know who you could have gotten if you'd stayed.
Yeah, you know who you could have gotten, right? You won't know who they would have taken in that scenario, but you'd have a pretty good guess. And it's really, there she. Come on, Mia, you want to fight? Let's get in here. Go fight him. I saw her looking. She's listening. She knows what's up.
Mm-hmm.
Come on, Mia. Don't get in here if you want to. Let's just throw Mia O'Brien right into the mix in the middle of Jaguars Today, and why not? What do we drink?
I don't have to be writing up commercials or fixing the live stream or anything like that.
What are we drinking this morning?
First cup of coffee. I did get back to the gym this morning after my 4-day little vacation for the first time. So
we all have our caffeine.
That's my first cup
forms.
of coffee, really. So
hey, I don't care. You can have 50 cups of coffee. Yeah. I'm not your dad.
I was in Denver.
And you're an adult.
I was in Denver, and there's coffee everywhere, and I have had to wean myself the last 48 hours.
You can toss some Jameson in it for all my kids.
Hey, exactly. It's 5 o'clock somewhere, baby.
You may have it in there, and it just unfortunately dawned on me. I am old enough to be Mia's dad. Damn it!
Sad.
I could be Mia's dad.
And then some.
Dang it! All right. I don't want to mischaracterize you. I was listening yesterday. You seemed very enthusiastic about the possibility that the Jags could be making a bold move into the top 10. What
I
leads
think,
you to believe that?
Right. I think it's the fact that I have kind of taken a couple different tea leaves, if you may, and tried to read between them over what I've been told over the last few months. But you couple that with how many phone calls and texts I've received from different league sources, different team sources in the last 2 weeks alone, where unsolicited, I had somebody say to me yesterday, yeah, don't be surprised if 8 and 9, that's actually the target. You were correct when in my tweet that I sent Thursday from vacation. I just found it so fascinating that Trent Baalke continued to specifically say to get to 12 or 13, to get to 12 or 13. The superficial surface level interpretation of that is, well, he's only thinking about quote unquote cornerback alley, getting to 12 or 13, Brian Thomas Jr. territory. For me, Trent doesn't just say things to say things. And so that's why, right. And so that's why I'm the fact that he said it, I went back, I watched the presser, I reread the transcript. The fact that he said it 3 times says to me that that was intentionally placed as a smokescreen. And coupled with, again, the fact that yesterday after I was on the air, I had somebody call me and they said, yep, 8, 9, that's where the intel is being done. And so, look, is it going to happen? No, because it takes 2 to tango. But at the very least, the fact that they're exploring it, the fact that Trent said to Justin Barney in one of the final questions of Thursday's press conference, we know what it would take to get into the top 10. We've done that exploration. And the fact that he said that those 3 wide receivers are so far and away ahead of what is a deep wide receiver class, but they are far and away the 3 most elite players. And also knowing that this team has been trying to find a number 1 wide receiver to complement Christian Kirk, who I believe is a 1B, but they're trying to find that complement to him for the past 3 years. Mm-hmm. It says to me that they are exploring all avenues. And so while, yes, it takes 2 to tango in a trade, I can't guarantee it's going to happen, but at the very least, it is being explored.
John, I think you would agree that they're exploring all options, right?
Oh, yeah. Sure.
Right. And you've just come to the conclusion that you just don't think it's wide receiver. You don't think it's the move up, and for even beyond that, you just don't think it's wide receiver in round 1 at all.
Yeah, you get your theories before the draft, and you sort of lock into it. So I think they're going corner at 17,
and you may be right. I don't know which one of you is right. You could both be right in a sense.
Right.
To me, that's just based on value and depth at both positions. So, as I said, if you go up and get a good player, more power to them.
All right, Mia, one more question for you because you have your own show to take care of, I know, today. is a veteran receiver, like a big play for an Ayuk or a Higgins, if they even were available, is that even possibly still in the cards?
Is John Lynch listening right now? Yes, John, it is absolutely possible. I don't know for sure about them shopping Deebo Samuel out of San Francisco. I did place a call this morning to some of my San Francisco people, so if I hear something, I'll let you know during Helmets and Heels 12 to 2. But I do think that there has been so much buzz surrounding from Brandon Ayuk's camp. Yeah, I understand we didn't request a trade, but at the very least, they are going out and seeing what teams would be interested in compensating him with. That it says to me that if the Jags or another team, whether it's one of the 3 teams that old Pretty Ricky sent out into the universe or not, I do think that there are teams at the very least calling and inquiring what it would take, and also calling to Ayuk's camp and saying, what sort of contract would you want? I believe it's a possibility, even if they were to pick at 17, because they can't get into the top 10 for the wide receiver market, to turn around and flip 48 for Brandon Ayuk with additional compensation, because just 48 is not going to get it done.
I don't think anybody in Jaguar land is going to be too upset if it's 48 and anything after that.
Sure.
For Brandon Ayuk, and you get a stud starter at whatever spot in round one, and you get Ayuk for the 48th pick. I think
you're going to have to pay him, because that's like that's the big question.
Okay, well,
are you?
It's not my money.
Trent's got an endless supply of that cash this all season, man.
Shot will pay it.
We got $2 in cap space. All right, I'll sign 6 guys.
We made our question of the day yesterday on Helmets and Heels. What's your draft day hot take? And my draft day hot take, or draft week hot take, I guess I should say, is if they cannot trade into the top 10, then they will try to find a way to flip that number 48 overall pick and additional whatever it may be for Brandon Ayuk.
Let's do it. Let's go.
And with that, I will see you all for Helmets and Heels at 12 o'clock.
All right, drink up. The coffee drinkers reading the tea leaves, John. I don't know what to make of that. But
coffee tea.
There you go. All right, we'll come back and we'll continue the discussion with John Ogier. And which of these scenarios would you even prefer, Tone? Would you rather package the picks and get the young Odunze, or the slightly less young and more expensive Ayuk, but certainly the more proven guy, if it were to go that way? Send us your top 5 wish list for the Jaguars for the draft, and we'll read through some of those as well. We'll continue our countdown. We're up to our number 2 player on our list coming up here in just a few minutes. Mike Dempsey, Tony Smith, John Ogier, Dylan Denmark here with you. This is Jaguars Today on 1010XL 92.5 FM. Hey, folks, Mike Dempsey here for Awaken 180 Weight Loss. It's great to help people out. It's great to make a difference. All kidding aside, when you find that you've been able to give somebody good advice and they take it and they utilize it and it benefits them, makes me feel good. I'll tell you that. Look, it's not the same as saving somebody from a burning building, but if you're a person who's overweight and you've struggled with losing it and keeping that weight loss intact, Awaken 180 could look like a miracle solution to you. The thing of it is, it's not a miracle, it's science. They just teach you how to eat, when to eat, what to eat, the frequency of eating. You eat to lose weight with Awaken 180, and I have recommended it to a lot of people through this radio program, some friends of mine personally, and everyone who's tried it, they have raved about the success they've had. So whether it's 10, 20, 50, 100 pounds you need to lose, pick up the phone. Call 844-346-1800. 844-346-1800. Schedule a virtual online consultation with Awaken 180, or just get the process started. Lose the weight, keep it off. That's the promise, and they deliver online at awaken180weightloss.com.
1010XL Jaguars Today Tuesday is brought to you by Dream Finders Homes. Homes built to fit your lifestyle.
From the Jacksonville Orthopedic Institute studios.
1010XL takes you behind the microphone.
Do you think I understand a word you say?
Dan Hicken and Jeff Prosser.
Get these cuffs off. Leave the cuffs on. Right now. Get them off. Leave them on! Oh, boy.
The Drill.
So I guess that makes us partners.
Mornings on 1010XL.
When it comes to towing products, your safety on the road is the priority at Cannons of Jacksonville. Whether it's a heavy-duty tow hitch, trailer frame, wiring, gooseneck, tow bar, or any other towing accessory, Cannons has decades of experience to ensure your towing setup is installed with precision and reliability. Visit cannonsofjax.com to explore a range of products and schedule your installation. Cannons of Jacksonville, your trusted partner for a smoother tow.
You go into your shower feeling, but as soon as you reach for the Irish Spring, your day immediately gets better. That crisp, fresh, unmistakable Irish Spring scent zings your brain and awakens your senses. So when you finally emerge from the shower, 37 minutes later, because you pay the water bill so you can stay in there as long as you want, you're ready to take on the day and smell great doing it. Irish Spring Body Wash and Bar Soap. Fresh, green, Irish. Shop now at Walmart.
Breaking news, Jacksonville. Play It Again Sports is back. We are proud to be opening a brand new store on Merrill Road, but we need your help. We are currently stocking up and we need your gently used sports and fitness equipment. Play It Again Sports offers cash on the spot for all your used gear. We buy baseball, softball, football, hockey, lacrosse, golf, water sports. You name it, we buy it. Turn that gear into cash at Play It Again Sports Jacksonville on Merrill Road near 295 in the Merrill Station Shopping Plaza.
Did you know that a metal roof from Prime Roofing will last 2 to 3 times longer than a shingle roof? If you want a better roof, think metal. Think Prime Roofing. Schedule your free estimate today at primeroofingfl.com. primeroofingfl.com.
Mark Watson with Hardball Creative. When getting pens with your company's logo on them, get nice pens. No one wants to steal a pen that doesn't work. Check them out at hardballcreative.com.
Hardball Creative. Hardball does it all.
Join Joe C., Matt Hayes, and Leon Searcy as they break down the draft picks with new head football coach Aaron Beasley from the new track and field facility at Duval Charter School at Bay Meadows, 2 to 4 Friday with XL Primetime.
A lot of companies will tell you they're the best. At Custom Tree Surgeons, they show you every time. Custom Tree Surgeons has built an all-pro team. Every tree service professional has years of experience, continually trained and certified. They know what, when, and how to handle any job. It gets done efficiently and quickly by a team of experts. So for tree trimming, removal, stump grinding, and emergency services, forget any name other than Custom Tree Surgeons. There is no job they can't do better. Go to website CustomTreeSurgeons.com. That's CustomTreeSurgeons.com and let them show you how the job is supposed to get done.
Are you having constant issues with drains backing up? Have you wasted money on plumbers that can't resolve your problems? We're Duck Duck Rooter, and we have the solution. We'll come out to your home or business, identify your problem, and make the repairs once and for all. From visual camera inspections, hydrojetting, line replacements, our team of pros will get the job done right. Call now to schedule service and relax. 904-862-6769. Financing is available. DuckDuckRooter.com, a proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Need protection? Call Craig and Christine Kaprosky at Goosehead Insurance. The Kaproskys are a husband-wife team committed to finding you the right coverage at the right price in just a few short minutes. For home, auto, flood, or specialty insurance, Craig and Christine Kaprosky are the answer. Craig.Kaprosky at Goosehead.com.
If you're searching for a new fence installation, challenge yourself to find a fence company with more positive online reviews than Superior Fence and Rail. With over 3,000 reviews and a 4.9 out of 5 review range, Superior Fence and Rail is, well, superior. So take the online challenge or let their professional team show you what superior service looks like. Superior Fence and Rail, where quality matters.
SuperiorFenceandRail.com. I'm Clayton Bromberg, the president of Underwoods. While we've earned the reputation as North Florida and South Georgia's preeminent official Rolex jeweler, it's important to point out that at Underwoods we carry other watches too. We start with Seiko, the most reliable, serviceable watch made for under $500. And they've started making jeweled, self-winding watches again, and sports watches you'd have to see to believe. Next we have Tavan, the Swiss-made ladies and men's and dress and sport watches, and they start at $575. Another name we carry is Tudor, inspired by Rolex with the same founder and owner, the Hans Wilsdorf Foundation. And their sport watches and chronographs are the rage in Swiss timekeeping, with new in-house watch movements and exciting new model introductions every year. So if you're interested in watches, we have what you want at Underwoods. And all of our watches carry a 5-year warranty. At Underwoods, in San Marco, Avondale, and the shops of Ponte Vedra.
This is Joe C. from XL Primetime and stoked to crank up the 9 after 5 once again at the Golf Club of Southampton. Every Wednesday, a little after 5, the gang at Southampton will be hosting us with a new game, and I'm inviting you to be a part of it. Now, through the summer stretch, break up the week with a little hump day fun every Wednesday. Call 287-PLAY to get on the tee sheet. There'll be food afterwards and prizes, including playing for a membership at the Golf Club of Southampton. Call 287-PLAY and hit the tee with Joe C.
RJ Saunders here, sports lovers. I recently took a tip from Frank Frangie when I needed to send flowers to my mother. Frank told me that Kuhn Flowers is the only florist he ever uses. So that's what I do now. I use Kuhn Flowers. Find them online at kuhnflowers.com.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville.
Oh No's.
With Jaguars.com's John Osher.
Brought to you by
Kingfish Pest Control, proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars on 1010XL.
I've seen a few people suggest this, Tony, not just today, but over time. Draft Frank Gore Jr. in the 7th round as a tip of the hat. Thank you for Frank Sr.'s career-defining first down with the New York Jets a few seasons back. So.
It's an amazing thing when you think about it. When did Frank Gore retire? Like it was last year, right? I mean, it wasn't
something like that. I think he played another season, at least one season past that.
And Son's playing. All right,
right, because he was in the league for quite a while. You know,
and
he's probably also old enough to be Mia O'Brien's dad, but maybe not.
A lot of people are.
Probably are. Probably a lot of people out there.
A lot of people in this room.
It's good to be young, as I recall. Draft Frank Gore in the 7th. Do you have in your role? Obviously, you are a member of the Jags organization. You write for the website.
So far, the code works. Yeah.
You are a member of the Jags organization, right? So, do you just try to be like the objective reporter on, all the draft stuff, or do you have your own wish list for what the Jags do?
In the first round, I don't have a wish list. I have an idea of what I think they might do. Do I have a wish list of guys that, boy, I want this guy or that guy? Not really. I mean, it's interesting to me before the draft. I'm fascinated to try to figure out what directions they might go and what their needs might be. As far as specific players I want, not really. I mean, I Terran Arnold I like a lot of guys I've seen in the first round. Pearsall from Florida is interesting. I mean, he sort of intriguing because I've heard some people talking about him, but I certainly don't dig in very deep past the first or second round. I mean, past about the second round because to me, it's such darts at a board in the 4th round.
Well, it's so hard to know. I mean, there are prospects I like later in the draft, but to have any clue how other teams feel about them or where they're really going to come off. I mean, Tony and I talk about Braden Fisk all the time. In January, 5th round. This guy's 5th round with upside. Now, he could be in the 1st round.
Right.
I'll
get these.
But it's all about the film, right? I forgot. It's all about the film. Oh, wait, it's not about the offseason process because you can be – I guess they decided to look at his film more closely.
Risers and fallers, yeah.
I mean, it's just ridiculous.
He's shooting up draft boards.
Well, the whole idea that yes, that is one thing. That's more the pundits getting knowledge of what's really happening. But the idea that, it's all and it's so funny because every year guy blows the doors off the combine. We'll just have to go back to the film. So do you not know how to look at the film the first time?
Right.
What are you doing? Maybe this isn't the job for you?
Some of it is until about the GMs aren't necessarily digging deep into the film last September.
I'm not even talking about the
GMs.
GMs. I'm talking more about the Kuipers of the world and anybody else like that. Okay, like this guy did this at the combine, and everyone says it's all about the tape. Then they go blow the door off the combine. Well, that's going to make me go back and look at the tape again because they have to justify why they're changing their opinion now, and they always tell you it's about the film.
Well, I got you.
So you looked at the film and you told me this, and now your opinion's different, so you have to excuse that somehow.
A lot of times, too, you haven't had time. Yeah.
I'm getting angry at the whole draft process. This has gone on too long, Tony. Can we draft tonight?
It's a little bit of a silly process.
All right, let's go around the National Football League.
Now, Gems Around the NFL. Brought to you by Beach's Jewelry and Pawn in Jax Beach.
The New York Jets are trading quarterback Zach Wilson to the Denver Broncos. The deal includes a swap of late-round picks, with the Jets sending the Broncos Wilson and a 7th-round pick for a 6th-round pick. Cincinnati defensive end Sam Hubbard had a deltoid reconstruction in his ankle and a tightrope surgery. Hubbard missed 2 games last year due to the injury and said on Monday, quote, I'm thankful that I made it out with no cartilage damage and stuff like that, but it's all fixed, end quote. He also said that they found a lot of instability in his ankle when he went in to get it fixed, and that it probably should have been fixed earlier, but it sounds like everything's okay now for Hubbard. Matt Ryan officially announced his retirement after a 15-year career on Monday. Ryan, a first-round pick by the Atlanta Falcons in 2008, when he was selected 3rd overall, played 14 of his 15 seasons with Atlanta before spending the final season of his career with the Indianapolis Colts in 2022. Ryan won the AP Offensive Rookie of the Year in 2008, was selected to 5 Pro Bowls and a first-team All-Pro in 2016 when he also won the league MVP for the Atlanta Falcons.
All right, thank you, Tony. Pro Football Talk's done their – this is Florio's mock. He only does one every year. And he listens to a lot of people, interviews a lot of people. So let's just take a quick perusal and see what he's done here for the first round. Mm-hmm. We're going to presume you know most of these major names. We're not going to give you school and position on everybody. Bears take Caleb Williams. Washington, Jaden Daniels. Vikings trade up to the Patriots spot, take Drake May. Cardinals stay put, take Marvin Harrison Jr. Chargers go Malik Neighbors. New York Giants take Joe Alt. And Tennessee pivots to J.C. Latham. Okay. So far, Dunze is available. Mm-hmm. Dallas Turner to Atlanta. Olu Fashanu to the Bears. What is happening here? Mm-hmm. Tali Fwanga to the Jets, the Oregon State tackle. New England takes J.J. McCarthy. We have a trade up to 12. Oh. Are you ready for it?
I am.
Rome Odunze, receiver, Washington, to the Buffalo Bills. Sorry to get you excited.
Wow, coming from
28,
yeah,
jumping up to 12. They better be burning up the damn phone line. 12's our spot. Somebody told me that. His name was Trent Baalke. 12's our spot. Jared Verse goes to the Raiders. Brock Bowers to the Saints. Quinion Mitchell to the Colts. Chop Robinson to the Seahawks. You can probably guess. Terrion Arnold. Exactly. Terrion Arnold. Byron Murphy right after that. And on and on.
Would it bother you? If Terrion Arnold's on the board and they take Byron Murphy, would that bother you?
No.
No.
Me neither.
No. Not that, because I do think there are corners I'm interested in throughout. I mean, Renardo Green was the guy we talked about in our list today.
To me, that's the X factor. And either if they think greatness is available on either offensive or defensive line, I'm fine with them taking it.
You're right. If it's great.
Right.
I got no issue
Yeah.
with it, particularly offensive line for me, but they may not see it that way. Like, I get it, because that offensive lineman doesn't have a guaranteed path to even play this year.
Right.
Now, we'll talk about it a little bit more, but if I've got one of those versatile types that can play inside or outside, there's no way I'm not letting him go right into the fire and, hey, that right guard spot is open for business. Sheriff, rookie, Hodges, compete your asses off, and the best guy's going to play.
Right.
And that way you can at least get him on the field early. All right, let's continue the countdown pockets. Where are we at?
Number 2.
That's where I thought we were.
Number 2.
Dylan, what you got at number 2? Recap your first 3, if you would, and then give us number 2.
All right, I got Fautanu, the offensive tackle from Washington, at 5. I got Ricky Pearsall at 4, going to the second round, hopefully. At 3, I had Byron Murphy. Number 2, I'm going to go Terrion Arnold. These top 2, my 1 and 2 is going to be corner. So I got Terrion Arnold at number 2. I think he's the second best corner of the draft. Hopefully he goes there. Need a position. Day 1 starter.
All right. Let's see. I went Mason Smith, defensive tackle out of LSU. Looking at the 4th rounder later, kind of representing the D tackles that could fall due to issues other than playing ability. Kool-Aid McKinstry as a trade back target from 17. Renardo Green as a 3rd or 4th round target at cornerback. Number 2 on my list, Tony, I put Brian Thomas, the LSU wide receiver. I put kind of Slash Odunze. Like, if they move up, he's the one I hope they're moving up for, right? But I just don't see it being as cheap as even 17 and 48 to get you to a spot where you can get Odunze, because I do think there's going to be more suitors that drive the price up greater than what the chart tells you it's going to be.
Yeah, I would think in that Florio trade, the Bills may have given away part of Buffalo.
They may have, right? Yeah. And is there a part you'd want? Or, I don't know. You know what? I've never been to Buffalo.
I've had a pretty good beef
Why
on
should
Weck
I
up
say?
there. Pretty good.
Is that right?
Yeah.
I've never had that. I've heard they love that up there, though.
Yeah.
All right. That'd be the place to get it, though, right? And that
5 beef on wax and the number 28 pick.
Okay, and the number 28 pick. Right, that'll get it done. So anyway, I went Thomas. I do want a top-of-the-depth chart wide receiver, and I understand, as John said, you can get receivers throughout this draft. I don't think you can get a guy that shifts the entire depth chart, potentially. They may not feel that way about Brian Thomas, but I think he's the most logical guy that could fulfill that role that 17. You could get at 17. Yeah. Right, and therefore he tops. The guy scored 17 touchdowns at LSU. He didn't score them at Kennesaw State. You know, that playing against really good competition. He's got the size. He's got the speed. I think he can grow into his frame even a little bit more. He doesn't have to be the star immediately. You've got enough to compete with, but you get a good, young, potentially great young piece to grow in lockstep with Trevor Lawrence. So, yeah, give me the receiver at number 2 on my list. Who you got?
5-2 for me. Troy Fautanu, the Washington offensive lineman at 5. Braden Fisk, FSU defensive tackle at 4. Keon Coleman, Florida State wide receiver at 3 for me. And at number 2, Quinion Mitchell, the Toledo corner. He is the top of my cornerback list. It's not that there's a bunch of names that they could call at corner at 17, and I wouldn't be upset with many of them, right? It'd be like, okay, cool. Like, I'm cool with Terry and Arnold, if that's the name that winds up being called. But if it wound up being Quinn, Mitchell would be the one that got me most excited if that's what it wound up being at number 17, which is kind of how I've tried to approach doing this list today. It's my reaction to the pick, not my expectation for how likely I think any of it is, because I don't think Mitchell is particularly likely to be the pick for the Jags, because I do think he's going to be the top corner for a bunch of teams, and I'm not sure what that's going to mean for where he's going to wind up going. But if it was the name that got called in the first round at corner, that would be the name that got me the most excited.
So I'm going to assume Marvin Harrison Jr. is at number 1 for you. But we'll see.
We'll see
when we come back, no matter how likely it is. Look, I think Mitchell's gone by 17. I'd have no problem if Mitchell's the pick. I'd have no problem with a small move up to get him. Small
Me too.
move.
Yeah.
Right? Like, if you want to spend one of those 4th or a 5th to make a, 3-spot move and you can get it done for that, that's fine. If you really value that guy head and shoulders and you're getting the top corner, I don't have an issue with that. He's not on my list, but I'm not going to hate it if it goes that way. I guess McKinstry kind of represented what I think the cornerback field is going to look like. I don't think there's going to be one standing out. All right, we'll come back. We'll do our number 1 most coveted player that the Jaguars could draft Thursday, Friday, or Saturday, and we'll take a look at some of your top 5 lists as well. The Tuesday top 5 continues. John Ogier is in studio with us. This is Jaguars Today on 1010XL 92.5 FM.
1010XL, Jaguars Today Tuesday.
From the Jacksonville Orthopedic Institute studios. Brought to you by Dream Finders Homes, official home builder of the Jacksonville Jaguars. He doesn't pull punches.
You want to punch me right now, but you won't.
He doesn't beat around the bush.
You got aggression? That's even better. You're going to need that too.
Rick Ballou is the truth teller.
Thank you for clearing that up.
Evenings on 1010XL.
Wait, what?
Hey, it's Matt Hayes. Spring is blooming, and the last thing I need is an AC or plumbing issue. But I'm not stressing because I know Fenwick Home Services has me covered 24/7. I'll have their certified technicians inspect my system, ensuring it runs efficiently and smoothly. They'll remove that nasty buildup of dust, pollen, and dander so I can breathe easier too. Preventative care is where it's at. Don't hope you won't have a problem. Plan to make sure you don't. Avoid costly breakdowns by booking now at fenwickhomeservices.com/radio.
Imagine a complete one-stop shop for all your company's technology needs. A Jacksonville business who keeps their customer service local, so you never get outsourced to a distant call center. When your company is ready for faster support for managed IT services, voice-over IP phone systems, or access control, discover why so many business owners select Total Business Systems. Call 604-6900, 604-6900, or jacksitexperts.com.
Golf is as popular as it's ever been, and Hidden Hills welcomes all who love this game as much as we do. You'll surely enjoy our Arnold Palmer design, which is nestled in one of the highest elevations in North Florida. Book your tee time today, and you'll be glad you did.
This is Keith Catlin for Catlin Truck Accessories, and we are so blessed to be in business for over 100 years. Over 100 years of the best product and customer service means you can count on Catlin. From Roll and Lock bed covers to Lear toppers to Cam Locker toolboxes, Catlin Truck Accessories has you covered when it comes to your truck or van. We do those too. Got a fleet of vehicles? We can outfit them all.
Who can you count on? Count on Catlin.
One name, one location, 100 years. You can count on Catlin.
Jacksonville, Florida. AEW is coming home to restore the feeling. I am the feeling. For two huge events live from Daly's Place. All Elite Wrestling presents Dynamite on Wednesday, April 24th, and delivers a Saturday fight with Collision, April 27th.
Let's get down to business.
AEW Dynamite Wednesday and Collision Saturday from Daly's Place in Jacksonville. Tickets on sale now at AEWTIX.com.
Get fishing tips and stories from Captain Kevin
Fight's gonna pick up pretty soon.
on the Ring Power Fishing Forecast Show. Brought to you by Awaken 180 Weight Loss.
Whoa!
Thursday nights at 6
on 1010XL AM.
Hey, business owners, Mia here for Window Gang. Picture this: pristine storefronts, gleaming office buildings, spotless exteriors. How? With Window Gang's superior pressure washing, window cleaning, and more. Whether you're a storefront, apartment complex, condo, or office building, Window Gang will transform the look of your business. Plus, they're fully insured and bonded. Call 262-7300 to schedule your free estimate. That's 262-7300.
Imagine waking up this time next week and being 100% debt-free from credit cards, car loans, and personal loans. Hey, Prosser here. Loan Pronto's Equity Express line of credit can make it happen. Homeowners are turning their home equity into cash almost instantly. With Loan Pronto's AI-based system, you can get approval in about 10 minutes with almost no documentation, no appraisal, and no hassle. You can get hundreds of thousands of dollars out of your home. Use that money to pay off all your other loans. The average homeowner saves over $850 a month doing this. Listen, your home value's way up. You can use that to wipe out all those credit cards. Get some money for a home improvement. Literally, hundreds of thousands are at your fingertips, and approval is just minutes away. So call now, 904-999-1508, 904-999-1508, or go to loanpronto.com. NMLS 1661781, subject to lender approval, equal housing lender.
Everyone seems to be in a time crunch these days. Well, don't forget you can always count on the cold case at Daly's. Always convenient, always cold, whether it's the king of beers, Natty Light, Stella, or Cigar City, or Goose Island, or Bud Light Seltzer. Dash into Daly's and grab one to go.
Okay, sports fans, Hicken here. Let's talk skin. I and Beaches Dermatology are reminding you all to wear your sunscreen. Spring is here, and that means more time outside. Grabbing the clubs for your tea time? Bring the screen. Heading out on the boat? Bring the screen. Headed to the beach? Definitely bring the sunscreen. All in all, make sure sunscreen is included in your outdoor activities. If you have any concerns now, give Beaches Dermatology a call. I've been seeing them for years, and my skin thanks me for it. Call today online at beachesdermatology.com.
Wondering what you're going to do for dinner tonight? Southern Steer Butcher is a full-service butcher, and we grind and make sausage in-house every day.
Now open in Ortega. For tasty tips and juicy breasts, choose Southern Steer Butcher.
If you're heading to the Og or you're already part of the nation's oldest, don't forget to drop into Sunset Grill. For over 30 years, serving up great chowder, seafood, wings, and cold beer. Sunset Grill, somewhere on A1A, St. Augustine Beach.
If you're an experienced, skilled plumber or welder that's MedGas certified and you're tired of working for a company that just doesn't treat you right, Local 234 is the place for you. Their pay is the best in the business. You'll walk away with $35.09 an hour in your pocket. With benefits, that's just over $50 an hour. Local 234 has been around since 1901, and that means something. Visit UA234.com to send your resume. Local 234. Make the right connection.
1010XL is presented by Farrah & Farrah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville.
Nobody knows the Jags like Johnny O.
Oh, no. Brought to you by
Kingfish Pest Control, proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
On 1010XL.
All right, what do we got cooking? Tomorrow, media mock draft. Pockets, are we locked and loaded? 16 picks, flawlessly executed.
Yes, absolutely. 95% sure. If not, I'll let you know by tomorrow at noon.
Yes, absolutely. I don't know if 95% is an absolute, but all right.
That 95% sure at 10:20 tomorrow is
Yeah.
going to bite you.
Yeah, that one might get me. Bro, I don't even. It's not worth getting. It's nothing Pockets related. It was a Sirius XM thing. I just gotta skip it. It's not really gonna matter to you, and it's triggering to me. So let's move on. All right. So we got Media Mock Draft tomorrow. We're gonna have on Thursday. Hayes Carline's gonna join us. Demetrius Harvey is gonna join us. We would love to welcome your calls if you want to. And I'll tell you what the question of the day is gonna be. Simple thing. For 17, who do you want at 17? Provided, assuming there's no trade, who do you want them to pick at 17? Who do you think they'll actually pick at 17 if they stick and use the selection? That's all we're going to be asking on Thursday. And then Friday, Tom McManus will be in. We'll react to what the Jags did in the first round and prepare for rounds 2, 3, and the rest. All right, so before we get to some of your top fives, why don't we complete ours here with our most coveted draft selection Pockets.
Number 1.
Tony, who you got?
The name at the top of my list, and it's because I will be throwing a party for the next 4 months if they pull it off, is Rome Odunze.
Okay.
The Washington wide receiver. I have basically 0% expectation that they're going to pull that kind of move off to go get that player, but the player that would get me the most excited among the options that are available to him, because I do think, getting a 4 and getting Harrison is a little bit crazy talk, right? Like, I don't think they're going to get to that level, but if the opportunity came up and they were able to get to 8, 9, or 10 and get a guy like Odunze, I'm the next 4 months, that'll just be party time for me. And whatever that price would happen to be, if it's a first and second round pick this year and a second round pick next year, fine.
What about a first next year?
Okay.
All right.
I'm party time, man. Like, I'm ready to party.
You think they're picking 32 next year?
Well, yeah, after they get a Odunze. Like, 4 months of party.
No, they're not picking 32 next year. They've given their next 5 first-rounders to get Odunze and win the next 5 Super Bowls.
Whatever it takes.
And that's fine.
Yeah.
It's all good. All right, hey, look, these are our own personal lists. Put anybody you like on there. Rome Odunze, number 1 on Tony's list. For me, it's a guy you both had at number 5. It's Troy Fautanu. It's not sexy at all. And he kind of represents a couple of guys. Like, if Tali Fwanga is there, I think they're very similar. I think they both could play inside.
You love the idea of offensive line.
I love the idea. Yeah, well, I do. Yeah. I like the idea of Anton Harrison and a young bookend to go with him. If Ezra Cleveland turns out to be really good, if Morse can hold down that spot for a couple of years, maybe you play Fatuano at guard this year.
I don't talk about those scenarios that much. I don't think they'll do it. But
yeah, I don't know if
the next
they'll do
5 drafts, they go all line all the time.
Look, I have no problem. If you draft Troy Fatuano and you get a 3rd-round pick for Cam Robinson, maybe a 4th even, right? And I get it. It's because the money, the investment in him, he's only under contract for 1 year. So let's say you get a 4th-round pick and you pick up another corner that can come in and compete, something like that. And I just think, look at some of these guys, man. They are just absolute attitude changers, just I don't know, just maulers that can have that versatility to slide inside, outside, super athletic. I mean, might be starting a tackle this year.
The athlete of him.
Totally.
That's the way he's talked about. He's the athlete of him.
That's the number 1 guy on my list. Yeah. But I think, to me, Tali Fwanga is I don't know how NFL teams, because sometimes you see Fwanga like in the top 10. Mm-hmm. Sometimes you see Fautano go before him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I have no idea what NFL teams are thinking. Pockets, who you got at number 1?
Mitchell, best corner of the draft.
Quinyon Mitchell, small school guy.
Yeah.
Small school genes going to take him, right?
Why not?
Because, we've had a long history, if you listen to Jaguar fans. What does every general manager in Jaguar history try to do? He tries to prove he's the smartest guy in the room, right? That is the belief. Now,
that's sort of fan complaint with every GM I've ever been.
That's
around.
my point, right? All right, you had Gene Smith, small school Gene, clean Gene. Clean Gene wants to go to the Colorado School of Mines and go mining for prospects, right? Yeah. He's going to take the tiniest. So I understood when people said Gene Smith's trying to show you he's the smartest guy in the room because he's the only guy in America who knows about this kid from Prairie View, whatever. Bulky drafts, like you said, he drafts from Auburn. He drafts from Florida. He drafts SEC guys, big school guys, all the time.
Yeah, but he got it wrong.
Right, but he didn't draft the one I wanted. Or
bingo on the line.
Like, it makes sense.
Right.
There are hundreds of thousands of Jaguars fans, right? Like, if you make a mistake, they can all point to, that's the guy that made the mistake. That's why this guy stinks. He picked the wrong guy. His fault. It's obviously his fault because no one else can pick him but that guy. And he got it wrong. We know who got it wrong.
That's
it's
what you
Trent
sign up
Baalke.
for.
You know, here would be trying to prove you're the smartest guy in the room. 17th pick comes, all the corners are there, and you take a guy like Rakestraw who's projected in the middle of round 2.
Yeah.
Then you
better be
trying
right.
you better damn well be right,
Yeah.
but you can't tell me that the board's a certain way. Like, people will say, well, we got to get a good offer. If you're going to get the player you want anyway, almost any offer is a good offer to me. Like, if they're offering, if the chart says a third and you're getting a fourth, you're getting a fourth that you wouldn't have had otherwise. You know what I mean?
As long as you're getting the player.
As long as you're getting the player.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. And I don't anticipate it being a case where at 17 we're going, what? Like, I think it's going to be a guy we've talked about in some capacity. We've conditioned ourselves, even if it's a guy we don't want, right? Like, I don't want Nate Wiggins.
Right.
173 pounds scares me. But I'm not going to be shocked if that's their pick.
Right.
Because, pretty much everyone concedes that they grade him as a first rounder with some questions about things. All right, here are some of the names that we've gotten. I'll do my best to pronounce them all. Cristiano gave us Neighbors Adunze, Terrion Arnold, Quinion Mitchell, and Kool-Aid. So he's going all first round big game hunting. Eric says Brian Thomas at number 1, Zach Zinter, Michigan lineman at 2, Blake Fisher, Mike Sainristril, I have a tough time pronouncing his name, and Ronaldo Green. Fautano, Cooper Beebe, the offensive guard there. Another one for Sainristril, another one for Green, and Shone Vaki, I think is how you say it. Let's see, a lot of Adunze, Jared Verse, Terrion Arnold, Keon Coleman, Fautano. That's for our Goodwin, Big Brother 69. There's some Javon Baker love in here. Isaac Garendo, I don't, and please no running backs, right? I mean, I get it. He's super speedy. Maybe they're thinking he's this year's Devin Achane, but how many touches are we going to carve out for yet another running back on this team? I just don't get it. We got a return game covered, right? Yeah, I mean, you went out and you got Duvernay.
I can see it 7th, late.
Okay, 7th round, anything's fine,
Sure.
right? If it's a 7th round pick, fine.
4th, I'd be
because we're probably going to cut that guy anyway. Let's be honest, right? I mean, it's they say the talent falls off this year in the later rounds, and we got a pretty good roster, so you would expect 7th round picks to not.
And Achane was a 3rd round pick.
Sure.
That's a player, Miami doesn't make that pick unless
But Miami
we're
had a
investing
specific
in this guy.
role for him. Their other guy is 32 years old.
Yeah.
And he stayed healthy last year, but they form a nice.
Certainly looks like a good pick right now.
And even then, Tone, what do you ever expect him to average at the max? Like 10 touches a game?
Maybe.
Right? I mean, just with the size, right? I mean, anyway, let's see. Amarius Mims, Kyrie Jackson, the Oregon corner, Brendan Rice, the USC wide receiver, Jerrion Jones. That's another good FSU corner. I think there are a lot of good middle round corners. And then Christian Jones, the guard out of Texas. That's from Chad. Fuanga, Pearsall, Sainristril, and best player available on the interior offensive line. That's a 4-man list. That's fine. Cooper DeJean, number 1 on somebody's list. You hear any buzz about him, John? Cooper DeJean, the Iowa corner / safety?
Like
who? I don't know.
Legitimate buzz, not.
Who do you think's the guy they could take at 17 that we had just said it's probably going to be a guy we're somewhat conditioned, but who's the most oddball selection you could see him taking at 17?
I heard Ship on the way in kind of say it's hard because you analyze so many of them and think about so many of them. Maybe the Texas defensive tackle. It's not that odd, but I mean, again, I'm not sure there's that many oddballs because I just don't expect him to do it if I wasn't thinking about it.
Right. Johnny Newton would be that.
Yeah,
for me
I guess
to some degree, like the Illinois defensive tackle. Like if
Straw,
Byron Murphy's there, because you see Byron Murphy now starting to creep into the top 10 in mocks.
Yeah.
So if he's there at 17, a lot of people are going to go, well, he's just clearly the best player.
I guess so much of it is we all start thinking about our own scenarios, like I said earlier. So if it's outside of our scenario, it would surprise you. It's tough. Maybe one that I would consider oddball is what you mentioned earlier. I'd be surprised if it's Nate Wiggins.
Yeah, that would probably be in the number
because
one
it
on my
doesn't
list.
feel like fit.
It fits the position,
but not what they want to do. So you would think.
Can you press a guy at 173? I mean, he's got good makeup speed. I know that. He's blazing fast. Look, Nate Wiggins, I could just be dead wrong.
Sure.
Nate Wiggins could be a superstar.
But if if there's a conventional wisdom about the corner position, whoever you talk to, it's that, yeah, he probably doesn't fit what they want to do. Like, he's great, probably doesn't fit what they want to do. So that would be surprising.
What that means
it's wrong. Like
based on what you're saying with the wide receiver thing, let's say Brian Thomas is off the board, Adonai Mitchell, Xavier Worthy, right? That to me would be surprising at that stage.
Those feel like you might trade up from the other spot to go up.
Trade up from 48
if like one of them slips.
Possibly.
That might be too far for him to slip.
Who knows, man? 1 year, maybe I'll retire and they'll give me a present. And all I want to do, I would just want to be like part of the draft process, just to be able to like 5 times go sit in on draft meeting. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to be there every day. I don't have to watch all the film. I want to be in there when
you definitely don't want to be.
No,
there
I want to be there when they put the board together and hear the final discussions and all that, and just really see, because probably most front offices sit back and have a good laugh at what they hear at this time of year. Now, there's some good information,
and they're glad that they're laughing because it means we don't know what's going on.
Right, or even if you do, how do you know?
Right.
Maybe you got it right this time. How do you know until the draft goes down? So, all right, John, what will you be doing in terms of coverage and all that? What do you have planned for the next week?
Be doing the today. We're actually taping the Huddle Up podcast with Bucky and JP, and then going into the draft, just pick by pick. We'll be going on live after most picks on Jaguars media channels. With JP, Kai Stevens, Brian Sexton, and myself. So, it's the old cliche. Tune in all weekend for the best Jaguars coverage.
Love it, man. Appreciate you changing around the schedule.
Oh, no
this
problem.
Week.
Enjoy it,
and
guys.
We'll reflect next Wednesday on just what a masterclass was put together by the Jaguars Brain Trust.
And it'll have played out exactly as I thought.
Exactly the way everyone thought.
Right.
Everyone will get their wish in this draft.
But he won't have done anything right.
Oh, of course not. And he will have proven, maybe he'll have proven he's the smartest guy in the room. Is that possible? I'm going to go low odds on that one. All
Good
right?
luck proving he's not next Wednesday.
Hey,
yeah.
It's possible. Right.
There'll be a faction
We
of
still
people-
won't know next Wednesday.
There'll be a faction of people who think so. You know who those people are? The people who wanted the guy that he picked.
Oh, yeah.
True. Or it'll be like, well, he got lucky. It's like even Balky had to take that guy. Because there's that.
There's always that.
Again, like you said, it's GMs around the league that probably get that with
It's
rare exceptions.
It's I heard the same stuff for 10 years about Bill Polian in Indianapolis. He's in the Hall of Fame with a ring and was in the playoffs every year. And he was an idiot up there.
Oh, I agree. All right. John, have a good week and enjoy the draft. We'll talk to you soon.
Absolutely. Thanks, guys.
For Tony Smith, John Ogier, and Dylan Denmark, I'm Mike Dempsey. Back again tomorrow with the media mock draft. Taylor Dahl, your Bears are on the clock. Let's go. Stick around. Helmets and Heels. Coming up next on 1010XL 92.5 FM.
It's Jaguars.